we move along the mountain forest belt toward its highest point. These places, thanks to the complex, rugged terrain and abundant food supply, attract all the forest inhabitants one could possibly encounter in our region. Bears prefer to live where the earth breathes with swamp dampness, where dense thickets of bird, cherry, and raspberries hide the trails, where windfalls, burnt areas, and lowland bogs provide shelter and food. And here, everything suits their taste. On a dry trunk, near the entrance to a small cave where one could take shelter after a meal, we left bait for the clubfoot, hoping for an encounter and a successful shot from the camera trap. But the master of the taiga never showed up. However, a hedgehog visited often, but it couldn't reach the bait, too high. It searched, circled, sniffed, but all in vain. Most animals stick to well-trodden trails. They are like threads that bind the life of the forest into a single whole. Where an elk steps, a boar or a roe deer will follow. And this forest heavyweight doesn't just walk the same trail, he even moves along it in the same direction. Such consistency suggests that the beast feels comfortable here. He has no reason to change his paths, let alone his habits. It would seem, find a well-used trail, set up camera traps, and collect, as we say, a harvest of beautiful shots of wildlife. But there's one peculiarity. Even on trampled grass with fresh footprints, on trees with bark rubbed off where resin has just oozed, and other clear signs of an animal trail, the beast may suddenly change its usual route. The forest remains silent about the reasons, and all we can do is wait. Watch, read the signs like old pages. Patience and observation helped us figure out the path along which the lynx patrols its territory. It walks this trail about once a month, and the route is chosen for a reason. It passes through clearings and forest edges where hares are often found. Right now, it's following the scent of its likely prey. By evening, we returned to the taiga yard. The day was long. We checked 15 camera traps, walked kilometers along animal trails, and followed hundreds of tracks. Fatigue settled on our shoulders, but with it came that special calm only the forest can give. We decided to rest in our own way by doing housework. The A-frame differs from our other structures in that we use dry lumber here, and to prevent the beautiful light cladding from fading in the sun or turning black from rain, the facade and the back of the house need to be coated with protective varnish as soon as possible. The finishing touch for the exterior will be the trim around the perimeter. It will give the facade neatness and complete the overall look, like a frame around a painting. It's still pleasant to see how, day by day, the house becomes more clearly defined in the taiga yard. Alexi is just now preparing lunch. A juicy piece of meat with a little fat is perfect for the dish he has in mind. Under the watchful eye of his ginger assistant, the meat is first sliced into thin strips. One might say that Dasha deserves a tasty morsel for her loyalty and patience. But no, this isn't a reward, but a warm gesture of love and care that the owner shows his pet. Still, such a treat doesn't diminish her merits, as she carefully watches to ensure everything is done correctly. So the meat strips are cut into squares and then finely chopped. Today, we'll feast on chopped meat shashlik. This variation gives the dish a special tenderness. The dense texture allows the meat to hold its shape and retain juices, unlike ground meat, where everything is blended into uniformity over an open flame. The pieces cook evenly, with a light golden crust remaining juicy inside. Along with the meat, we add some sweet pepper, red and green. It adds brightness and juiciness without overpowering the meat's flavor. We don't add onions. They're too juicy, and if overdone, the meat becomes too wet and won't stay on the skewers well. The A-frame stands on larch stilts, and the terrace will stand on the same. Larch is extremely slow to rot due to several natural properties. Its wood is saturated with natural resins, especially in the heartwood. The resin penetrates the fibers, making them denser and acting as a natural antiseptic, repelling fungi, bacteria, and insects, the main destroyers of wood. Moreover, larch grows slowly. Its annual rings are narrow, the wood is tight without loose fibers. This also enhances its durability. But the most interesting thing is that larch can last for centuries in water. The resins and dense structure prevent oxygen penetration, and without it, decay processes don't start. That's why, since ancient times, it's been used for house stilts, boardwalks, dams, and wells. But before installation, the bark must be removed. Only a few minutes remain until lunch. I can tell by the rich, savory aroma coming from the fire. Seems I have about 10 minutes. That's enough time to dig in the larch posts. Marking the spots, I grab a shovel. I removed the top, soft layer of soil, the loosest and most unstable, and reached the dense clay base. The holes ended up about 30 to 40 centimeters deep, which is more than enough. I fill the holes back with the same soil, firmly tamping it around the posts. Meat roasted to a golden crust over an open fire and a bit of spicy sauce. For a kick. These flavors and smells are firmly linked with summer, heat, and fire under the open sky. The juices stayed inside each piece. The meat turned out succulent, rich, incredibly delicious. But just as we sat down to eat, thunder suddenly rumbled. Marking the general level for all the stilts, we even them out with a chainsaw. The terrace frame and decking will be exactly the same as in the house, matching the level. The frame boards are laid on the stilts installed today, and those already serving as the house's foundation. When all the elements are connected with metal brackets, it will form a sturdy, unified structure. The board placed on the central support is especially important. It links two opposite sides and will additionally support the floor, preventing possible sagging. The frame is assembled and it's time to lay the floor. We'll use tongue and groove boards. This type of joint ensures tight bonding and even load distribution. Technically, the process isn't complicated, provided the boards are straight, but in our case, that condition isn't met. Though stored under a tarp, moisture from the air, especially nighttime dampness, still took its toll. Some boards warped, some bent into arcs, others twisted spirally. Working with these is like assembling a puzzle with stubborn pieces. You have to press, tap, align, and tighten. Yet board by board, groove by tongue, the floor is laid. After laying, we immediately coat the boards with protective varnish before sun and rain leave their marks. We finish just in time. Barely completing the terrace work, clouds begin gathering on the horizon. The pre-rain chill is already in the air, that subtle damp scent bees sense so well. They hurry home. Many have tiny sacs on their legs, green, yellow, sometimes almost orange. This is bee pollen, collected from blooming plants. The finishing touch for the A-frame will be installing a panoramic window in the wall facing the terrace. This window will open upward like a hatch, serving as a light canopy, merging indoor and outdoor spaces. Even when closed, daylight will stream in, making this house perhaps as bright as the house on the cliff. We'll finish this work tomorrow. The night rain refreshed the terrace, and now it's clear how well the protective coating worked. All moisture stayed on the surface, not soaking into the wood. The panoramic window, like in the previous house, is 2 by 2 meters. When closed, it will sit flush with the wall, smooth, without protrusions. We planned ahead for mounting transparent plastic so the top edge tucks under the Ondulan roof, with side overlaps sealing the opening from rain and wind. Right now, the frame is held by just 4 brackets, but we're doing a test lift. Everything works as intended. The frame is reinforced with a center beam and diagonal braces in the corners.
Очень прочная конструкция вышла.
On the exterior, we attach cast polycarbonate 1.5 millimeters thick to the frame. This material is strong yet flexible, won't crack or shatter, making it safe. Compared to tempered glass of the same size, it's dozens of times lighter, crucial for our windows lifting mechanism. This reduces strain on the mounts and ensures reliable operation. Yet polycarbonate is as transparent as glass. The forest, sky, and terrace are clearly visible. The only downside is gradual clouding over time. But this is slow and sheets can be easily replaced. The simplicity of installation outweighs this flaw. The frame was designed to fit the polycarbonate sheet, so the horizontal beam aligns perfectly with the seam between the 2F's case. First, we secured the lower sheet using roofing screws with washers for a tight fit. Then the upper sheet was laid with a 5-centimeter overlap, sealing the seam from moisture and wind. It turned out neat and airtight. Now we can congratulate ourselves on finishing construction. A wicker rocking chair will fit right in. Now the terrace is comfortable in any weather. In rain, the open window acts as a canopy. Only mosquitoes could disrupt moments of rest. The second floor should be the coziest nook, not because we'll lavish more care on it than the first, but because upper floors in small wooden houses always have a special, intimate atmosphere. The air feels different there, the scent of wood is richer, and during rain, the drumming on the roof is clearer. Creating coziness doesn't take much, just hang a simple lantern that casts warm light under the rafters in the evening, and the mood is set. To keep pests at bay, we'll install a mosquito net. It'll fend off bloodsuckers and preserve peace. Now it's time for the first night in the new house. For now, there are 2 proper sleeping spots. One bed for Dasha, the one gifted by our viewers, and the second on the upper floor under the roof. Dasha prefers sleeping downstairs where she can keep an eye on the door and outside. Lying down, she glances through the panoramic window, listening for sounds, but she needs her owner nearby, so Alexei stays downstairs. I'll settle upstairs. Boars live in a matriarchy. The female leads the herd, sets roots, and chooses feeding grounds. Piglets stay with their mother for a year, then either leave or remain. But these boars are clearly no youngsters. Large, confident, yet one stands out, a seasoned tusker. He just appeared on the camera trap, but his size is noticeably bigger. The panoramic window passed its first serious test. The night rain left no leaks. Everything is sealed. The sheet joints, overlaps, and roof coverage worked as planned. The A-frame was always meant to be a cozy summer retreat in the woods, but we built it with insulation in mind, though we haven't decided yet. Experience shows that even uninsulated, a small space warms well with a tiny stove. We're waiting for its delivery. Today we had time to work on the woodshed. Originally, we planned landscaping, digging a lake, but heavy rains made forest roads impassable for machinery. We'll wait for them to dry. The woodshed matches the house's style. Side by side, they'll look harmonious. Inside, we divided the space into two sections. The upper one stores kindling, birch bark, and small fire-starting items. The lower holds firewood. This organization makes the woodshed more practical. Well, all planned work is done for today. Time for a break, brewing fresh forest herbs in the samovar and resting a bit. The weather continues to surprise with its fickleness, but summer's warmth lingers in the air. The storm cloud looming earlier never arrived, leaving clear skies and heat occasionally softened by a breeze from the forest depths. We sit under the hot sun, sipping tea, wondering when will we finally dig the forest lake. But spoiler, it all worked out. We'll share this challenging yet fascinating story in the next video. Thank you, friends, for your support, kind comments, and sharing our videos. We're Lesney. Until next time, warmth, coziness, and goodbye.